So I'm going to be using Ignite Aatrox as an excuse to be making an Aatrox video. Now don't worry, I will show you the advantages of playing Ignite Aatrox, but really it's forming an excuse for me to finally make an Aatrox video. Aatrox is my favorite champion, and I think the best design champion Riot has ever made, and I will stick to that point. Aatrox, after the rework he had with the double E, that's where he could gap close twice, if you guys remember that, he was okay. I'm not going to be showing that because I don't have footage of that, nor do I want to show that. I don't think that version of Aatrox is very cool. After they pushed him to the single E system, I think he became an extremely cool champion, way better developed, and again, the best champion Riot has ever developed. If you remember back in my Trundle video, I said that the problem with abilities that you pressed every single time they were available was, realistically, they might as well be passives with cooldowns. Vision is key! Trundle's Q and Trundle's W, you just press every single time it's available. Aatrox does not have a single ability he presses every single time it's available. That makes him an extremely skill-expressive champion. Lots of people play him in different ways, and he ends up becoming a champion that you can make unique and often your own champion, your own pick. Hashinshin is so biased. He's putting way more time into the Aatrox video than any of the other champions. Yes. So what in particular is Ignite Aatrox doing? Why would I make a video about Aatrox after all this time just because people are starting to go Ignite on Aatrox? Well, with the upcoming nerfs to teleport, and you can go look at my video if you want to see that, Ignite is going to become far more popular in top lane. Ignite is going way up in value due to A, it just got buffed at the beginning of last season, which was totally unneeded, but I won't get into that right now, and B, teleport is getting nerfed. So, why does Aatrox excel with teleport as compared to other champions? He doesn't really, but what it does give him is more importance put on the early game. With teleport not being as valuable, and the early game being far more potent due to Ignite being there, that means an early game champion like Aatrox can excel over champions who blatantly outscale him. Champions like Yone, champions like Jax, champions like Yasuo, who could otherwise be in top lane. Because Aatrox doesn't tend to scale very well, having the ability to have more impact on the early game actually does benefit him a lot. A lot of times you might have noticed during the laning phase that you can't take a fight because you lack sustain damage and you lack the ability to finish it off. Well, with Ignite, you have more sustain damage and obviously, well, I shouldn't say you have more sustain damage, but at the very least you have more damage and you have more ability to finish off an opponent. Now, you combo that with the healing reduction, which yes, does punish Aatrox a lot, but it also helps punish people against Aatrox. Aatrox, well, I mean, basically every champion in the game these days tends to have some form of healing. Now, Aatrox with his extremely low sustain damage, particularly in the early game, because his Q cooldown and his W cooldown and his passive cooldown, they're all massive. And with all these massive cooldowns, even a little bit of health the enemy has remaining can often be his doom, particularly because a lot of people go lethal tempo. So any healing, any of these things that will keep them alive are really difficult for Aatrox to manage. Well, now he can chew through them a lot easier, destroy their healing, and kill them. And now he's not. oh, my juggler's coming! It's time to take a fight! Just fucking... You guys tend to really like it when I go over the runes and the items, so we're gonna do that right now. What you're probably noticing here, for you veterans of the Aatrox, is the unflinching. Now, I'll go over that in a second. Obviously, the only keystone that's viable in Aatrox is Conqueror. Some of you lately have been pushing Glacial Augment. Maybe I'll make a video on that. For now, don't go Glacial Augment. It's just not as good as Conqueror. Trust me. Conqueror, even if it's very nerf state, is still very good damage. Despite the fact that he stacks it very slowly, Aatrox has extremely high AD ratios, and with his ultimate, that means that this damage on a low damage champion, it's pretty valuable. Giving up even more damage on an already low damage champion feels bad. You're gonna go Triumph because Triumph with Aatrox has insane synergy. With his ultimate boosting his healing, this can get pretty nuts. I would actually say at this point, Triumph is practically an extension of his kit. For runes, you go Legend Alacrity if you want to attack more, and you go Legend Tenacity if they have a lot of CC. Personally, I find Legend Alacrity to be extremely vital. Perhaps I'll make a video on this in the future, but for now, do note that Aatrox's attack animation seems to have a very niche and bizarre feature where, as compared to other attack animations, attack speed drastically reduces the amount of time you need to spend in your animations. That has a lot of impact on Aatrox, because spending less of time in your attacks, and particularly your passive, which for some reason is a freakishly long animation time, that really enables you to combo much better. And you'll probably see throughout these videos that my combos seem smoother and faster than combos you pull off. That's because I always go with the Legend Alacrity, and if I can't pull that off, I'll typically try to get an attack speed. Sometimes I go with neither, and that's typically feels bad. You're gonna go last stand on Aatrox because you're gonna go last stand. We're not making a joke on Legend Bloodline. It's like I'm making this video at like 2 a.m. and I'm not gonna scream and not scare my neighbors. Okay, just don't recommend Legend Bloodline, guys. Aatrox doesn't auto attack. Just don't make me yell. Don't make me yell. I will wake my neighbors. So, in the Resolve tree, there's Bone Plating or Second Wind. Second Wind typically outperforms Bone Plating, but Bone Plating to certain matchups like Jax, Volibear can be extremely vital because those champions don't poke at you, they go for the all-in. Resisting their all-in makes Aatrox a very good pokey champion. Now down here in Revitalize and Unflinching is where things get a little bit more argumentative. Lately, a lot of people have been getting the idea that Unflinching is better than Revitalize. The stats do show that Revitalize and Unflinching are practically neck and neck for strength. I've been factoring this in, and a lot of times I've actually been going Unflinching. With the State of Healing debuffs, Revitalize took a huge hit to how good it is. I think it's still good and just as good as Unflinching. However, this build is something I've been doing a lot. Sometimes I slot in Second Wind, sometimes I don't. For runes, double damage, armor, or magic resist, that's your default build. Sometimes, if you have to, you can do something like this, but I would say as a default, I would stick with a build that looks like this. No, that's a pretty good one. Those are Aatrox's runes. These make sense. The Precision Tree is extremely good for him. The Resolve Tree is extremely good for him. Don't go Domination. These are good runes, trust me. For items on Aatrox, this is where you're probably going to find the biggest disagreements. Now, the biggest one you want to go is Gore Drinker. Pretty much 99.9% of the time you're going Gore Drinker, no one is going to argue with that. The second item is where the disagreements start. Cyrilda's Grudge is extremely good on Aatrox. Why is it good on Aatrox? Because it gives you a slow, because it gives you armor pen, because it gives you a lot of ability haste. You can kite out melee champions, you can slow range champions, you can chew through tanks. Remember, all of Aatrox's healing is based on damage dealt. This armor pen makes you deal a lot more damage. A lot more damage dealt, a lot more healing. Ravenous Hydra is absolutely garbage compared to Cyrilda's Grudge. This item is insane. With Gore Drinker getting more health and getting the Omnivamp, Cyrilda's Grudge has received even more of a push. It was already a decent secondary item, but now it's seeing a push as potentially your default secondary buy. However, that one isn't going to be true all the time. You have Sterak's Gauge. Sterak's Gauge is your default second buy. 90% of the time you're going Sterak's Gauge second. Can I swap these? The majority of the time you're gonna go Sterak's Gauge second. Now, Cyrilda's Grudge second has a lot of power behind it. I want to talk about this item more, but we're gonna save our time. Sterak's Gauge second, Giant Shield, healing, pretty good item. decent damage, giant health, shielding. I mean, there's nothing to hate about Sterix Gauge. If this item eventually gets nerfed, this might change. However, for now, yes, Sterix Gauge is an amazing second buy. However, in comes the third choice, Dance. If you're fighting at a physical damage team and you just want ability haste and armor, Dance comes in as your third potential secondary buy, and this item does really good. So you actually have 3 pretty good secondary buys. I would say the best is Sterix, but Serildis is coming right up behind it. Then you got Dance, which I've often gone second because having that extra ability haste on Aatrox is pretty solid. In Over, you will want all 3 of these items at some point. So your default build is going to be Gore Drinker, these 3 items, and then a last item. A lot of people default to Spirit Visage. Some people, in the right situation, can slot in Thornmail as potentially they don't go Serildis Grudge, or maybe they don't go Death Dance and they go Thornmail. The items you will always go are Gore Drinker and Sterix Gauge. Those will always happen. Even if you go Sterix Gauge 3rd or 4th, you will always get it. So I would say these are pretty much your default items. These, what is that, 6? Yeah. Now, sometimes I have slot in Omen in a pinch if I'm fighting Tryndamere or something like that. It's doable, it's manageable. Aatrox can go with a lot of options. The last option, if you're really tired of mages, and I have done this before, and I will show you, Force of Nature. Force of Nature on Aatrox, on a champion who heals a lot, getting 20% reduced magic damage taken can be a real goddamn shocker for some of these mages, and they will very quickly go, I can't kill that dude. This item I very, very rarely go with, but holy crap, when you do go with, this item is shockingly efficient. Potentially, they're considering buffing it in the future, and we might see something come of this. So, in all, these are your default items. I would recommend these 4 every time. Spirit Visage probably culminates their 5 core items. For boots, Ninja Tabby, Merc Treads, just depends on what you need in that game. And those are Aatrox's items. That, because if I'm gonna be blunt, that's okay, I'll wait. Deja vu, I have killed this deer before. Deader than before. This deer is so dead. So far as playstyle recommendations and overall tips go, number 1, take your time. Plan your Qs out. Remember, Aatrox doesn't have his Q cooldown start until the final Q goes off. In other words, each time you use your Q, it resets the cooldown. Throwing out a blind Q that has no chance of victory will just give you a longer cooldown until your Q chain resets. You need to be patient. You can't play like Riven and just have infinite Qs. You need to be smart, unlike Riven. Very much unlike Riven. Number 2, you're not a split pusher. You're not great at killing turrets. With Serildis Grudge, your armor pen kinda sorta hurts turrets, but you're still not that great. Aatrox's base attack speed is still too low. Now, you can bait people into trying to mass murder you and take a free Baron off it. That's fine. But for the most part, you're going to be wanting to be in a team fight, crushing everyone, murdering them all. You need to get good at the laning phase. Aatrox is stronger in the early game. You can't play passively. You need to try to aggressively damage your opponent, get the healing from that, and get your lane dominance from that. Starting at level 5, Aatrox can very easily push the wave. That gives him early lane control, that gives him early map control. For the rest of this video, we're going to play some footage showing you guys some examples of Aatrox put to music. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope it inspires you guys to play Aatrox, because he is seriously the most fun champion. So, thank you all for watching, thank you all for subscribing, thank you all for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my Patreon. The link is in the description. It helps support me and continue to make videos like these, because I'll actually make money off them. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a great day, everyone.